NewGenGamers.com.
Welcome everybody to Console Wars of the Past. Here we are taking a look at the Sega Genesis. Here's the 16-bit Sega Genesis. As you can see, it says 16-bit right on it. They wanted to make that clear. And it has high-definition graphics. That's right, your Genesis plays in HD.
Sega was really big on using words that didn't actually mean anything in their marketing for their systems. So high-definition graphics really means nothing, but it looks good on the system.
Hey, yeah, nowadays high-definition graphics actually means something.
Yeah.
Here we have a volume switch, which is strange for a console.
For your headphone jacks, which you could plug directly into the system.
For the high-definition sound. Here's your switch, your power switch. And that gray is your reset button. Now, flip it up here. And you see the headphone jacks. And then we have our two controller ports. Yes, standard Genesis controller ports. Alright. Now on the back here, we've got an extension port, which we'll get to later. A channel selector, your RF, and your AV adapter out. So you have your adapter and then your AV on the left there. Now,
AC power cord. This is
yeah,
where the power cord goes in.
Now that one was also compatible with the Master System, the big one right there. Now this is a strange little port that has some kind of chip sticking out of it. Wonder where that goes to. Maybe we'll get to that later too. Yeah, you hook up various peripherals to that. Sega used every piece and every little chunk of their consoles, so...
We'll put that back on later.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Alright. Well, after they got done with this model, they decided to downgrade it a little bit. Think it needed a little bit of slimming down for the home, so here is your Genesis 2 model. This was the one that started to become mainstream because this was when the Genesis really started taking off. This was the one they bundled with Sonic the Hedgehog and all further bundles from that point.
This is the one most popularly known in the United States. And of course the Sega Genesis was called the Mega Drive everywhere else in the world.
Yeah. So Genesis just looked cool over here.
And it is a top-loading system.
Yeah, we do have the top-loading cartridge port. You know, standard for most video game systems at the time. Flip it up, we'll have the, take a look. Now you have a lot simpler interface here. Just the power and the TV. Pretty simple.
That's it.
Yeah, there's no headphone jacks or anything on this.
Now you still have your side port for your mystery peripheral.
Yes.
Which we will look at late in a future version
of our Console Wars. There were many other pieces to go onto this Genesis. Now, let's look at its baby brother. This is the Genesis 3. A tiny little Genesis that was released late in the system's lifespan. They really slimmed down the hardware, and basically it was the same size as the Game Gear when square footage wise.
Nothing on the back.
How do you hook the TV?
It's all on the side for some reason.
Oh wow, that's a tiny little bugger.
Compared to the previous models, definitely smaller.
Yeah.
But otherwise, same hardware, same system. All three play the exact same games and are essentially the same machine.
Yeah, just different sizes. Basically what Sony did with their PS1.
Just different carriages.
Yeah. So they had different models of the Genesis. Now here we'll take a look at some controllers. Here's your standard Sega Genesis pad. This came with all Sega Genesis consoles, which had the infamous 3 buttons and the start and your directional pad.
Now, an improvement from the Sega Master System controller, we got an extra button over here and a start button, but still
no select.
Not the most comfortable design. It worked. Not a bad pad.
Slightly ergonomic. I mean, it does fit into your hand pretty well.
The buttons were nice to hit, nice and big,
Yeah, they had some pretty large buttons, so you could always tell which one you were hitting. And the directional pad felt kind of comfortable.
Nice control of the directional pad. You could hit angles pretty easily.
Which was perfect for fighting games, which were popular in those days.
Yes, we'll get into that.
Speaking of which, we have a fighter's arcade stick.
Considering Sega was a king of the arcade scene, they brought an arcade pad home with all the bells and whistles. You've got your multi-selects here, on and off powers, mega fire speed with an adjustable notch. You've got your mode, which was kind of the equivalent of the select button on the Nintendo consoles, and if you wanted 3 or 6 button support.
Yes, a very, very good arcade stick.
Yeah, nice solid base to it.
Because you always want your arcade sticks to be sturdy.
And you want a metal base. That shows you that it's definitely got some weight and
a
beef to it.
Plastic base on an arcade stick just doesn't work
Not
because
a
it
good
ends up
sign.
getting broken.
You want to be able to hit your friend with this after he's pissed you off using the same move on you 26 times.
Which most people did, and hence how some arcade pads got broken.
Because you've spent $50 buying this arcade stick, and that asshole just beat you with that same goddamn punch.
With the 3-button controller.
That's what the metal base was for. So
you could pummel your friends. Now here's a 6-button pad, which came later in the model. Now this is actually the third-party pad, but they're all essentially the same.
From Performance. Yeah, so you see here you get the extra mode button, X, Y, and Z buttons, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it was basically to compete with the Super Nintendo's extra buttons and allow some games to support up to 6 buttons.
And considering a lot of fighting games were moving to that 4-button set at that time. Now, speaking of the games, let's take a look at some of our library here. Here we've got Tasmania, Ronald McDonald. Now, we aren't playing a lot of these games. These are just kind of our joke.
These are random games that we're laying around, so this isn't exactly what we'll be playing today, but this gives you an idea of the cartridge sizes. Now, EA were rebels and released these larger cartridges, and they also had battery backups, which may have been part of the reason for the extra size.
Well, that's a plus, because a lot of these, could use the battery backup, like the John Madden football there, could use the extra time so you could save your season.
Now,
speaking of John Madden football, here's Madden 97.
Now
this is what the Genesis cases look like. Here you have all your books and everything.
It all comes in the front flap here.
Nice little schedule there for you Madden fans. Here's the game itself. You see it has a nice little protective sleeve there, or a nice little place to hold the cartridge in.
Won't fall out.
Doesn't fall out. These plastic cartridges, or plastic cases, held up really well. That's why you'll see a lot of Sega Genesis cases out there today, whereas you wouldn't see the cardboard boxes for the Nintendo stuff.
Now, for a while, Electronic Arts sports games were released in limited editions, which they released all of them like that, so they really weren't that limited, but it was a good selling point.
Yeah, it was a good little ploy. Now, here's another one to look at, is an Accolade cartridge, which just had a strange shape and design to it. I don't know if that was actually an official release, or...
They had to be rebels, too. It says, it has Sega's name on it, so
it's officially licensed.
It's officially licensed. They just wanted to have cool cartridges, I guess.
Now, another strange cart here, Sonic & Knuckles. This was the lock-on cartridge technology, which would allow you to play the Knuckles character in Sonic 2 and 3, and then see how it pops into your console just like so.
So you've got this now tower sticking out of the Sega, and Sega really liked the idea that they started with this, and we'll see where that goes.
So, you never know. Sega loves to do towers. So, I'd say let's go and play some of these. What do you think?
Let's try it out and see what we find.
セガメガドライブの16ビットソフトシリーズが面白さぶっちぎりでドッカンとデビュー。まずは10号機、そしてスペースハリアー2。やっぱゲームは16ビット。両本ボール。セガ
NewGenGamers.com.